Today's bag of popcorn is brought to you by AutoApprove. AutoApprove makes refinancing your auto loan easy so that you can keep more of your hard-earned money. Learn more at autoapprove.com/popcorn. Hey, this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to Popcorn Finance, the show where we discuss finance in about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. When we talk about doing a better job of managing our money, we often think about ways that we can spend less of it. And as a result, I've seen a lot of these no-spend challenges pop up, which I think is a really great way of practicing being mindful with your spending. And I've even discussed it here on the podcast before. But something that I've never really seen before is a spending challenge. That is until I came across today's guest, who is embarking on a 30-day spending challenge to be more intentional with the way that she handles her money. First of all, let me introduce today's guest, Justine Nelson, the founder of Debt Free Millennials. So, Justine, how are you doing?
I am so good. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I am a big fan of the show, and so I'm like stoked that we're finally doing this.
It's about time. I've known you for a while now. We met, I think, a couple years ago. Maybe, I don't even know how, time lost all meaning. So maybe it was like 4 years ago. I don't even know when it was.
Yeah.
At a conference. And I've been meaning to have you on the podcast. So it's so great that you agreed to hop on here with me.
Absolutely.
So first of all, what is this? Like, in my mind, when I hear spending challenges, like I'm challenging myself to spend as much money as I possibly can. This is a little bit different, right? I'm assuming that's not what you're doing. You're being intentional with this challenge. So how does it work?
Yeah. So this idea really came to me because I had seen a lot of these no buy challenges, or I never bought anything for an entire year. And while I think that can be meaningful, as you said, it can make you more mindful of what you're spending or not spending money on. I was like, no, we're spending money. I'm still going to be spending money on things. And that's part of being intentional with my lifestyle. And so I wanted to think about spending in a way that kind of covered two basic rules. And the first rule really is spending on things that I love. And then the second rule is cutting out spending on things that I feel negative about or that I'm doing out of habit. And so I wanted to take that mindfulness and really track that hard for 30 days and see what comes out of it. And it's crazy. So I'm on day 14 right now out of 30 days. And I find myself in an odd way not spending money or feeling a little reluctant to spend money because I'm pausing and thinking, okay, is this a purchase that I really love making? Is this what I'm really excited about? So it's kind of had this interesting kind of kickback.
So it's almost like the exact opposite of what you thought you would be experiencing going into this. Is it because you're giving yourself permission to spend, but just to be mindful of what you're doing with money that's kind of making you pause? Do you feel like this is something that'll be like a long-term thing, or is just as you're rolling into the challenge, you're starting to kind of just be cautious as you're spending?
I think it could be a long-term thing for me. I think about this idea of financial minimalism and how we can start kind of decluttering our wallets and decluttering our financial situation, and spending was kind of one area of that for me. And so I actually, for me, and anybody could do this challenge for a variety of different spending categories, or you could do it for your entire budget. But I really wanted to focus on 3 major categories for intentional spending. And that included food, baby items, we're like spending for my daughter, and then also Target/Amazon. I kind of lumped those two together as like my shopping, because I find myself going to Target and going to Amazon a lot. And so I'm like, ooh, am I spending at these places out of habit and convenience, or is it something that I truly love? And so I've really been kind of focused on those major categories and tracking that. And so some interesting surprises have kind of popped up for me as I'm spending money in these places.
A lot of us are doing the best we can with the resources that we've got. When I was struggling back in the day with debt, I was looking for every dollar I could possibly find just to get in a better spot financially. One of the things that I did was refinance my auto loan. And that's why this week's bag of popcorn is brought to you by AutoApprove. AutoApprove is an online service that makes vehicle refinancing easier and faster. AutoApprove offers auto and motorcycle refinancing and lease purchasing. They make it easy for vehicle owners to find and compare their best available rates, and they do this by connecting them to a network of top credit unions, banks, and finance companies to help lower your rate and your payment. In 2021, AutoApprove customers saved on average $1,692 per year. With an extra $1,600 plus, I could have paid down my debt faster back in the day, or right now I could buy that TV that I've had my eye on for a while now. AutoApprove makes it possible to cut your expenses through refinancing your auto loan. So to find out how much you could save, get your free quote at autoapprove.com/popcorn. Again, that's autoapprove.com/popcorn, or just click the link in the show notes. Get more money for what matters most with AutoApprove. I have an important question to ask you all. Have you done your taxes yet? Because tax day is April 18th and it'll be here before you know it. It's right around the corner. And look, there's no shame if you haven't done your taxes yet. Nobody, and I mean nobody, including myself, likes doing their taxes. But unfortunately, it has to get done. So why not get some help and take some of that stress off of your plate? H&R Block is not only bringing you today's bag of popcorn, but they are also bringing you the help you need this tax season. H&R Block's experienced tax pros have an average of 10 years of experience to help you navigate our very complex tax system. Plus, H&R Block guarantees your maximum refund and 100% accuracy. You can get things started however works best for you. You can visit in office and meet a tax pro face-to-face. You can connect virtually via phone, video, or just a simple chat, or a hybrid of the two. With or without the office visit, H&R Block tax pros can help you get your taxes done. So to learn more and to stop putting off getting your taxes done, get the help you need by going to popcornfinance.com/HRBlock, or just tap the link in the show notes. Again, that's popcornfinance.com/HRBlock for 20% off your online filing. What else are you finding that you're kind of realizing through this process of kind of just really thinking through each purchase?
It's forcing me to get a little bit more creative about my spending. So, for example, I really love spending on baby items for my daughter. I just love like the little outfits and buying books for her. And I realized that I could actually get creative. So I ended up hopping into a Goodwill and perusing their children's books section. And I found a classic book, If You Give a Moose a Muffin, for $1. This was a book I read as a child.
I remember
and
that
I was
book.
like, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, $1? I need to do this more often. And I'm not a thrifter. I don't really go into Goodwill because I get overwhelmed with how much stuff there is in these stores.
Yes, me too.
And so I thought, okay, instead of thinking that I need to thrift everything, clothes, shoes, housewares, maybe I start thrifting with just children's books, because I know that and I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I can get a really good deal on this and be intentional about it. And it's still spending on something that I love, but being intentional.
For myself, I often find that I go all in on something. Like I can't just slowly do something or just change a part of a habit. I often find that I'm pressuring myself to, if I'm going to save more, I'm going to save like crazy. Or if I'm going to eat better, I'm going to just eat salads and, I'm cutting out bread. I go to the extreme, but there's all this like middle ground that exists. And I think we put this pressure on ourselves that if we're going to make a change, you have to just go all in. You have to go as hard and as fast as you can at making this change to make a difference. But your story kind of reminded me that you can make these subtle changes. You said, instead of saying, I'm just going to become a full-time thrifter, and even though I get overwhelmed with all the stuff that's there, I'm not going to just force myself into doing this all the time for everything. But I know this one area I can dip my toe in this way and make this one small change. And yes. I think you can apply that to so many different areas in your finances and not feel the overwhelm, because you can make smaller changes and not feel pressure to just completely change your life in the way you do things.
I'm the same way as you. I definitely am like, go big or go home. If I'm committed to this goal, I'm committing all the way. And I found that I can experience burnout and I can make it last for maybe a couple of weeks or a month. And then I'm right back to square one. And so if like for me with the thrifting with the children's books, that's a really easy way that I can cut out something where I was like, oh, $15 for one kid's book and I'm going to have to read that to her every single night. No, thanks. And so maybe for you, it's restaurants and eating out. And so if you're like, I love the restaurant scene, I love trying new places, instead of going for full sit down dinners, let's experience a happy hour at the same spot. You get half price drinks and apps. You're still getting that ambiance. You're still going out like you like to, but you're doing it for a fraction of the cost. And so that's something that Kyle, my husband, and I, we like to do as well. So we're still going out. We're enjoying that, but we're enjoying it and being more intentional with spending.
I love this. I didn't think I didn't know where our conversation was going to go, Justine, when we started talking about the spending challenge. But the fact that it really challenges you to look at ways you can make even small changes and the impact of that just by being mindful. Like, not saying I'm going to slash my budget. I'm just going to be mindful of what I'm doing. I'm still going to allow myself to spend, but now I'm going to really think about it. What type of changes and insights into your own habits you can find and develop. I think I'm gonna have to hop on your 30-day intentional spending challenge. And if there's people listening who want to learn more about this or even just connect with you more, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, if you want to check out the intentional spending challenge, I have a video explaining the basic rules over at YouTube. Check me out at Debt Free Millennials. And then if you want to tell me exactly what you're working on for your spending challenge, please DM me over at Instagram at Debt Free Millennials.
Yeah, I was on your account looking at it, and you have a whole little section. I forgot what those things are called, the little bubbles.
The little highlights.
There we go, the little highlights.
Yes.
And you've been saving all of your like kind of like a video diary of your process through this 30-day intentional spending challenge. So I definitely highly recommend people go check it out if you want to see how it's going for Justine and how you can implement it for yourself. So thanks again. Appreciate you coming on, and looking forward to talking again.
Thanks, Chris.
And thanks to all of you for joining me here for another episode. If you have some feedback on what we talked about today, or you just have a general question, you can always reach out to me on Instagram. Just search for Popcorn Finance Podcast and you'll find me there. Or if you want, you can send me an email to questions@popcornfinance.com. That's what Andrew did, and that's why he's this week's Colonel. Andrew wrote in and said, "Love the pod and love popcorn. I enjoy your informative podcasts that are short and sweet. Just got my student loans forgiven, $28,000. Now I am maxing out my Roth IRA and only have 7 years left on a 15-year house note. Keep up the good work, and when will you be dropping a book?" First of all, Andrew, thanks so much for the kind words. I always love hearing from you all and getting your feedback on the show. It's always just great hearing from you. You know, I'm in a room by myself recording a podcast. It's a very small, lonely place here, so it's always great hearing back from you all directly. Second, Andrew, you're doing an amazing job. I always love hearing about people getting their student loans forgiven. This is the second person who's reached out to me and told me that they've had some of their loans forgiven. And also on top of that, you're just taking that money and just, you're doing a great job getting prepped for retirement and paying off that debt. So I want to give you all the praise first here up front. And then lastly, I haven't even thought about really writing a book yet. I know I have some really great friends who are putting together some amazing books, but I haven't thought about doing that yet. I'm not ruling it out. I just haven't started writing anything. But hey, if the opportunity presents itself, I would not be opposed to writing some type of book, as long as I can make it short. But anyways, Andrew, thank you so much for the support, and I appreciate you listening to what I do here on the podcast. As always, I appreciate you all joining me here for another bag of popcorn. Hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, boy, keep it poppin' like Mary Poppins.